In a town like Gravity Falls, the laws can be just as bizarre as the creatures lurking in the woods. From marrying a woodpecker to beavers voting in elections, these rules are sure to leave you scratching your head. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the strangest laws that exist in Gravity Falls. Strangest law number 1, the right to marry a woodpecker. One of the most ridiculous laws in Gravity Falls is the right to marry a woodpecker. Yes, you read that correctly. People can legally marry birds here. This law originated from an incredible event experienced by the town's eccentric founder, Quentin Trembley. According to local legend, Trembley once found himself trapped in a box, and while stuck in that wooden confinement, he was serenaded by the rhythmic pecking of a nearby woodpecker. This bird's pecking, for some reason, reminded Trembley of his third wife, a woodpecker he affectionately named Sandy. Trembley, being the oddball he was, decided that if he could love a woodpecker, then it should be legal to marry one. To this day, this strange law remains on the books, much to the amusement of residents and visitors. The silliness of such a law has caused many raised eyebrows, with people asking, who would marry a bird? But in the episode Irrational Treasure, we meet a character who has done exactly that. He's married to a woodpecker. The visual of a wedding where the bride or groom is a tiny bird dressed up in a cute tuxedo with a cake made to be bird-friendly is both hilarious and perplexing. The ridiculousness of this scene perfectly captures the quirkiness that makes Gravity Falls unique. The people of Gravity Falls have embraced this strange law, with some making jokes about their neighbors who might have fallen for a bird. It's not unusual to hear someone quip, "Looks like she found the love of her pecking life," when they see a local walking down the street with their feathery spouse. What would seem utterly ridiculous anywhere else is just another day in Gravity Falls, where the bizarre is celebrated and embraced as part of life. This law, while foolish, actually plays a significant role in shaping the town's identity. It's a quirky reminder that Gravity Falls is anything but ordinary. The fact that this law still exists symbolizes the town's willingness to celebrate its eccentricities and find joy in the absurd. Marrying a woodpecker may sound preposterous, but in Gravity Falls, it's a cherished oddity that represents the spirit of the town. Strangest law number 2. The ban on moon people. Next on the list of strange laws is the outright ban on moon people. This law was enacted due to Trembley's overwhelming paranoia regarding extraterrestrial life. Legend has it that Trembley once spent an entire night staring at the stars, convinced that beings from the moon were watching him. To protect the town from what he believed was a looming alien invasion, he passed a law banning any and all moon people from entering Gravity Falls. Even though there is absolutely no evidence to support the existence of moon people within Gravity Falls, this law is still in place today. The senselessness of it speaks volumes about Trembley's character. He was a man deeply entrenched in his own peculiar beliefs, no matter how unfounded they were. You can easily imagine him furiously scribbling this law down, believing he was saving the town from certain doom. The townspeople, of course, have a bit of fun with this law. They often joke about the consequences of spotting a moon person while stargazing. Imagine reporting a moon person sighting to the local police, only for the officers to laugh and say, "What do you want us to do? Arrest them for illegal moonwalking?" The stupidity of the situation adds to the charm of the town. Instead of causing fear, this law has become a source of humor, with locals bonding over the shared understanding that their legal system is, to say the least, unique. This law has become a permanent part of Gravity Falls lore, contributing to the town's reputation for embracing the bizarre. The ban on moon people is less about protecting the town from aliens and more about showcasing the eccentric spirit of Trembley. It's a symbol of how the town finds humor and connection through its weirdest laws. Strangest law number 3, the Finders Keepers property law. The Finders Keepers law, also known as Gimmeocracy, is another of Trembley's wacky legal creations. The idea behind this law is simple. If you find a deed to a property, you automatically own that property, no questions asked. Trembley introduced this law in an attempt to simplify property disputes, but instead, it created chaos. One of the most famous examples of this law in action was when Gideon Gleeful managed to steal the deed to the Mystery Shack and claim it as his own. By simply possessing the deed, he was able to take control of the property, no matter how dubious the means he used to obtain it. This law allows for all sorts of hijinks, making property ownership in Gravity Falls something of a game where only the clever and crafty come out on top. Imagine the conversations among the townspeople about their properties. "I found the deed to my house under the couch. That's nice, but I just found a deed to your house in my mailbox. Guess it's mine now." The sheer nonsense of this situation shows how deeply ingrained Trembley's strange laws are in the town's culture. Gravity Falls has become a place where property rights are up for grabs, and the cleverest, or most devious, can find themselves on top. This law adds a layer of unpredictability to life in Gravity Falls, with residents constantly needing to keep an eye on their property deeds to avoid losing everything. Yet, the people have learned to navigate this chaotic landscape with a mix of resourcefulness and humor. It encourages townsfolk to be clever and cunning, and it gives them endless stories to share about their battles over property. The Finders Keepers Law is a humorous reminder that in Gravity Falls, nothing is as simple as it seems, and the rules are often just as strange as the people who follow them. Strangest Law number 4. Children as young as 10 can be tried as adults. In most places, juvenile offenders are treated differently from adults, given the opportunity for rehabilitation, but not in Gravity Falls. Here, children as young as 10 can be tried as adults, a bizarre legal practice that adds to the town's already strange list of laws. It sets the stage for some ludicrous situations, where kids face adult-level consequences for what would normally be considered harmless mischief. One of the best examples of this is seen in the episode The Legend of the Gobblewonker, where Mabel is arrested for counterfeiting money. Instead of a light slap on the wrist, she's thrown into a cold, iron-barred jail cell like a hardened criminal. "Is it just me, or is it cold in here?" Mabel quips, perfectly capturing the absurdity of the situation. This law contrasts sharply with real-world legal systems, where minors are treated differently based on their age and understanding of right and wrong. In Gravity Falls, however, kids who get into playground scuffles or steal candy might find themselves facing the same legal consequences as adults. Can you imagine a 10-year-old standing trial for shoplifting a candy bar? The fact that this law exists at all adds to the overall weirdness of Gravity Falls. It's a town where chaos often takes precedence over common sense, and the legal system is no exception. The idea that children could be held to adult standards only amplifies the absurdity, making it clear that in Gravity Falls, even justice is unpredictable. Strangest Law number 5. Beavers have the right to vote. Perhaps one of the most hilarious and bizarre laws in Gravity Falls is the right for beavers to vote. Since 1922, beavers have had the legal right to cast their votes in local elections, thanks to Trembley's peculiar belief that these industrious creatures had valuable input on the town's future. It's hard to imagine a more ridiculous law than this one. The law comes into play in the episode The Stanchurian Candidate, where we see a beaver endorsing Stan Pines for mayor. You just imagine a beaver wearing a tiny campaign hat, proudly supporting its chosen candidate. The idea of beavers participating in the democratic process is both hilarious and mind-boggling. On election day, beavers are treated as equal to human voters, their votes carrying the same weight in determining the town's leadership. Now, imagine a beaver running for office, its platform focusing on lowering taxes on logs and building more dams. Vote for me, and I'll make sure every pond has a new dam. The sheer absurdity of this idea showcases the ridiculousness of the law. This law is a prime example of how Gravity Falls has woven its absurdity into every aspect of life. The fact that animals play a role in the town's political process adds to the quirky charm of the town. Beavers voting may be strange, but in Gravity Falls, it's just another part of the town's oddball identity. Strangest Law number 6. The Never Mind All That Act. After the chaos of Weirdmageddon, the town passed one of its most peculiar laws yet, the Never Mind All That Act. This law forbids anyone from discussing the wild and traumatic events that occurred during Bill Cipher's reign of terror. If someone is caught mentioning Weirdmageddon, they face being tased by the local police. Yes, you read that right. Mention the wrong thing, and zap. Imagine trying to reminisce about the time you were chased by a giant gnome, only to be interrupted by a sudden jolt of electricity. Hey, I was just about to share my harrowing experience. Mayor Tyler Cutebiker introduced this law as a way for the town to move on and collectively forget about Weirdmageddon. But honestly, it's sus that no one's allowed to talk about what really went down. It feels like one big cover-up, like someone, or something, wants to keep the truth buried. My guess? Bill Cipher is still pulling strings behind the scenes, pushing for this censorship to keep the citizens asleep, behaving like sheep who blindly accept whatever they're told. Sure, the absurdity of this law adds to the overall humor of Gravity Falls, but it also raises serious questions about how a town copes with its past. By silencing any mention of Weirdmageddon, the townspeople are effectively erasing the hard-won lessons they learned during that chaotic time. With Bill Cipher lurking in the shadows, it feels like the town is avoiding the truth rather than healing from it. It's a law that, while funny, hints at the darker side of the town's history and the lengths some will go to keep it hidden. Strangest law number 7, maple syrup prohibition. Last on our list of strange laws is the maple syrup prohibition. Since 1920, it has been illegal to sell or consume maple syrup in Gravity Falls. This peculiar law seems entirely out of place in a town known for its quirky customs and strange culinary traditions, but it has led to the rise of underground pancake speakeasies. These secret gatherings take place in dimly lit basements, where townspeople indulge in stolen syrup over pancakes, whispering about the absurdity of the law. "Shh, don't let the syrup police find us," is a common phrase heard in these clandestine settings. The very idea that maple syrup, a staple of breakfasts around the world, could be outlawed adds to the town's reputation for embracing the bizarre. Even something as simple as enjoying a plate of pancakes becomes an act of rebellion in Gravity Falls. The syrup prohibition, much like the town itself, is both strange and charming, reinforcing the idea that in Gravity Falls, nothing is as ordinary as it seems. The culture of weirdness in Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls grows on embracing the weird and unusual. The strange laws enacted by Quentin Trembley are just one part of the town's larger culture of eccentricity. Rather than rejecting the bizarre, the people of Gravity Falls celebrate it. Characters like Grunkle Stan have even built entire businesses around it, profiting from the town's reputation for oddity through attractions like the Mystery Shack. Also, the mayoral elections in Gravity Falls are another example of the town's embrace of the weird and unconventional. Instead of being decided by serious debates or policy proposals, the elections are based on two hilariously strange events: the Wednesday Stump Speech. The first event is the Wednesday Stump Speech, where candidates deliver a speech while standing on a real tree stump. This isn't about sharing plans or policies, it's about putting on a show. The stump symbolizes the town's rustic charm, and the spectacle is what really matters. A local survey revealed that 78% of voters remember the candidate's funny antics more than any actual promises. This odd tradition has been part of the election process for over 50 years, and it's a prime example of how the people of Gravity Falls care more about celebrating their eccentric ways than engaging in serious political talk. The Friday Debate. Next comes the Friday Debate, but instead of the usual exchange of ideas, Gravity Falls does it differently. Here, townspeople throw birdseed at the candidate they like most. The more birdseed a candidate attracts, the better their chances of winning. In the last election, candidates received an average of 35 pounds of birdseed each, and local shops saw a 300% increase in birdseed sales. While it may sound ridiculous, it's a fun, hands-on way for the town to vote, perfectly in line with Gravity Falls' love for doing things in their own quirky way. At the end of the election, a Freedom Eagle is released. It flies to the candidate with the most birdseed and gives them a special kiss, making them the new mayor. According to the town charter, anyone can become mayor as long as they can cast a shadow, count to 10, and throw their hat in the ring. The position is for life, adding to the town's unique traditions. The residents of Gravity Falls have become experts at navigating the town's strange legal system, finding humor in the weirdest situations. Suze, the lovable handyman, takes everything in stride, often finding joy in the oddest moments. His easygoing attitude is a perfect reflection of how the people of Gravity Falls have learned to embrace their town's quirks. Trembley's lasting influence. At the heart of Gravity Falls culture is Quentin Trembley, the town's eccentric founder. His bizarre laws and offbeat leadership style have left a lasting impact on the town, shaping its culture in ways that continue to resonate today. Trembley's legacy can be seen in everything from the quirky laws that govern the town to the mindset of the people who live there. For many residents, Trembley's odd rules are a symbol of the town's character. The right to marry a woodpecker or beavers having the right to vote may sound absurd, but for the people of Gravity Falls, these laws are a point of pride. They represent the town's willingness to embrace the strange and celebrate the things that make it unique. Impact on the residents. The strange laws of Gravity Falls have had a profound impact on the daily lives of its residents. Over time, these bizarre rules have become so ingrained in the town's culture that most people don't even question them anymore. Characters like Pacifica Northwest have learned to navigate these quirks with grace, using their social status to sidestep the oddities of life in Gravity Falls. Old Man McGucket, once a brilliant scientist, provides another perspective. His life took a strange turn due to the unusual happenings in the town, and his journey through the legal landscape of Gravity Falls highlights the unintended consequences of living in such a peculiar place. Apart from these, there are some common laws that also exist in Gravity Falls. These are 1. Age of consent laws. Just like other places, Gravity Falls has laws about the legal age for consensual relationships. With the show's focus on teenage friendships and crushes, this law becomes important, grounding some of the more whimsical elements of the town in real-world regulations. 2. Speed limits. Gravity Falls has speed limits like any regular town. However, with its bizarre landscape and unusual driving conditions, enforcing these limits could lead to some funny moments. Imagine the townspeople trying to obey traffic rules while dealing with the town's oddities. 3. Property lines. Gravity Falls has property laws that define boundaries and prevent disputes between neighbors. These rules may clash with the town's finders keepers law, where characters could try to take advantage of strange loopholes, leading to some entertaining conflicts. 4. Permits for events. To host large gatherings, like Mystery Shack's summer events, permits are likely required. Knowing the characters, especially Stan, they might try to bypass these regulations, resulting in some comical efforts to skirt the law. 5. Public safety laws. Public safety rules, such as laws regulating fireworks or keeping pets on leashes, likely exist in Gravity Falls. However, with all the supernatural occurrences, these laws may seem out of place and could lead to some funny situations where characters ignore or bend the rules. 6. Health codes for restaurants. Health codes ensure food safety in places like Greasy's Diner. This could lead to hilarious moments with Stan's questionable cooking or Suze's wild food creations, pushing the limits of what's allowed by these safety standards. 7. Alcohol regulations. Gravity Falls probably has laws governing the sale and consumption of alcohol, especially considering the age of some characters. This law adds another layer of regulation in a town already filled with strange legal boundaries. It's a combination of regular laws and bizarre regulations that shape the unique legal landscape of Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is a place where the strange laws match the quirky characters that inhabit it. From the right to marry a woodpecker to beavers having the right to vote, these unusual regulations add to the town's charm and character. While they may seem absurd, these laws reflect how the residents embrace their weirdness and celebrate their unique culture. As we leave this enchanting town behind, let's remember that it's the oddities in life that keep things exciting. Have you come across any strange laws in your own town? Share your stories and experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Gravity Falls, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more fascinating insights and adventures from this wonderfully weird world. Join us next time as we uncover even more secrets and oddities that make Gravity Falls a place like no other. Until then, have a goodbye.